Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. I want to welcome everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Reclaiming Brotherhood Men's Panel. Tonight's panel centers Black men's voices around faith, family, relationships, leaderships, and what it means to navigate manhood in today's world while building for the future. This conversation will hold space for honest reflection on vulnerability, mentorship, healing, and legacy. We look forward to sharing wisdom, lived experience, and meaningful dialogue with everyone in this community. Our guest facilitators for tonight's panel will be Ben Akuoko, Andrew Robinson, and Lincoln Alexander Estridge. Welcome, Ben, please. We would like to warmly welcome everyone who has taken the time to join us for this needed conversation. Tonight's panel holds space for reflection and awareness while uplifting Black voices and lived experiences that deserves to be heard and carried forward by our communities and generations. So now we'll go into the agenda. For today's agenda, we're going to be doing the introduction and opening remarks, land acknowledgement, the introduction to panelists, discussion, audience Q&A, and closing. So the introduction to both John and I. So I want to welcome you all again. Please say hello in the chat, share your name and where you're from, and we invite you to connect with us. My name is Letitia Quabia. I'm an intern student here at Iferrata Center for Excellence, studying my bachelor's of social work through Toronto Metropolitan University. John?
Good night, everyone. It's John Jack from the Kajenga Wellness Project. My position within the organization is project management and family outreach.
Thank you. We will be your hosts for tonight's webinar. I'm honored today to start the Kajenga Wellness Family Wellness Project Reclaiming Brotherhood webinar. Before we begin, John and I will start with a land acknowledgement and African ancestry statement. So for our land acknowledgement, we acknowledge that the land on which we gather in the traditional and treaty territories of the Mississaugas, specifically the Mississaugas of Sagog Island, First Nation, signatories to the Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the Williams Treaty of 1923. This land remains home to Indigenous peoples. We commit to honoring the past, supporting truth and reconciliation, and moving forward with respect, accountability, and care for Indigenous people.
Honoring Black lives and Black identity, we acknowledge all treaty people, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We also pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. Who is Kajenga Wellness or Kajenga Family Wellness? Well, Kajenga Family Wellness is an organization that is deep-rooted in culture, in supporting Black and Indigenous families in the Durham region. We specialize in our wellness fair that happens every year. We'll share some more information towards the tail end of our discussion in regards to when the wellness fair is going to take place. This wellness fair welcomes everyone throughout the Durham region, throughout all the GTA, for all Black vendors and communities to come under one roof to learn about culture, wellness, and healing. We also specialize in conversations and webinars, very similar to a discussion like today. On our website, you'll be able to find a variation of different topics that speak on co-parenting, speaks on resiliency, speaks on challenging situations as a couple or supporting your family. There's a whole wonderful selection of different topics that you can choose from to learn and educate yourself. Also through Kajenga Wellness, we have our Talawa conference, which is our youth conference. We'll share more of that towards the tail end of our conversation.
Now we're going to move into some housekeeping rules. Before we begin, we'd like to share a few housekeeping rules to help facilitate our time together and ensure that space remains respectful, grounded, and purposeful. First, we want to say that our panelists are here to speak from their own lived experience. They are not here to speak for all Black men, but to share their personal journeys, reflections, and truths. We invite everyone to listen with openness, humility, and care. To support a smooth and respectful conversation, please keep your microphones muted during this panel discussion. Cameras are optional. You are welcome to engage in a way that feels comfortable to you. We ask that you remain present and respectful, even if a perspective shared differs from your own. This panel will be held for 2 hours. Please try to keep answers at 5 minutes to help keep room for open dialogue. There will be a dedicated space at the end of the panel for audience questions and reflection. We kindly ask that questions be held until the time. However, if you do have questions during the panel, please raise your hand or write in the chat and one of us will assist. This space is rooted in Black excellence, dignity, reflection, and collective learning. Guided by Ubuntu, I am because we are. We gather to witness, learn from one another, and strengthen communities through shared wisdom. Thank you for being here and helping us hold this space together. Now let's introduce our panelists. First, we have Ben Akuoko. Ben Akuoko is a Ghanaian-Canadian communicator, advocate, and emerging media voice whose work centers on accessibility and community empowerment. Living with the eye condition of retinitis pigmentosa, he uses his lived experience along with his education in social work to drive meaningful conversations about disability, inclusion, and representation. Through his initiative, The Bright Side Scope, Ben blends storytelling, workshops, and practical insight to inspire, educate, and build stronger and more inclusive communities across platforms he touches. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
And now we move into Andrew Robinson. Andrew Robinson was born in Toronto, Canada. Andrew took his talent to Seneca at York, where he studied for pre-media fundamentals, which led him to being in the music program. Andrew has been dedicated to create an atmosphere where quality entertainment dwells, and he tries to bring back the enjoyment of content into the eyes of the audience. He is the CEO and founder of Insight Entertainment Network, a Canadian upcoming local network. He has been on podcasts, created his own project called Insight Tonight Show. It highlights the people of Canada from past, present, and the future, bringing vibes, engagement, and knowledge, but also unity of people doing what they do, what they've been doing at a high level. Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're
Pleasure.
welcome. And now we move into Lincoln Alexander Estridge. I just love your name. Lincoln Alexander is a Christian husband, father, bestseller author, and success coach dedicated to partnering with busy professionals to build personalized systems that boost productivity and self-care through guided accountability. As the founder of Success Support and author of Your Personal Success Formula, he empowers people to clarify their vision, build strategic habits, and achieve sustainable growth. He also serves as operations and portfolio manager at an award-winning Durham region charity and leads his own nonprofit, The Fight Inside Society. a youth-centered organization advanced culturally grounded mental health advocacy in racialized communities. Welcome, Lincoln.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Very excited.
Yes, and that is it. Now we are going to dive in. Panelists, are you guys ready?
Always ready.
Always ready.
All
Let's
Yeah,
right.
before we start on the first question there, I had to hold back. Every time your names were introduced, I wanted to sound off a horn, or I wanted to go, boop, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I appreciate all of you so much for joining this space. I appreciate you for taking the time because I know life is lifing for everyone and time is of the essence and we have things to do, but you wonderfully accepted and you adjusted your schedules and you made it here. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Seriously.
Absolutely. So yes, Letitia, would you like to fire up the question? I can see it there.
All right.
Or should I? Yeah.
We can definitely start off because I'm so excited for this conversation to be held. It is needed,
Okay. Yes.
and we are honored to hear your story. So we're going to start with what helps you personally stay grounded and connected to your purpose as a Black man in today's society? And please answer as you please.
I don't know who wants to start that.
Oh, so we
Oh.
could do this popcorn style.
Okay.
If you feel compelled to start first, start first.
You got it, Andrew?
I could start it. I could definitely start it off.
Yeah, let's go.
To be honest with you, I think for me, as a Black man,
Mhm.
having faith in God is definitely number one for me.
Amen.
Without God, without God, things can't be the way it is, and
Mhm.
with God, all things are possible.
Mhm.
Also, understanding yourself as a human being, as a person, knowing your history,
Mhm.
is definitely important. Understanding where we were, how we started, what we had to do to get here, and the projection of where we're trying to head, even when we're not here. I think that's very important because a lot of people think about just the now when you're living, but you also have to think of when you're not here, what trees, what seeds, what plants are you setting up for the next generation? Even if you don't have kids, the generation that comes after us needs to see some form of fundamentals that they can follow and obtain. Um, and just believing in yourself. I think that's the predominant thing. I feel like for me, where I'm from, uh, the places I've been around, like you always had to be rather a rapper or a ball player. Like there was always certain spots that they put us in because of how good we are. And we keep forgetting that you don't have to be a basketball player to be great. You don't have to
Right.
be a rapper to be great. You don't have to, you know, be in a music video to be great. Like there are great plumbers, there are great inventors, there are great people who do agriculture. There's people that are doing stuff in the community, as you can see by this panel. There are people that are been doing nonprofits, writing books, speaking, doing so much stuff in so many areas that still represent us as Black folks. And because the world has put us in that scope, we feel like that's the scope we need to be in when it doesn't have to be the case.
Yes.
So I think for me, it's always remembering that no matter what field you're in, you can be great in it,
Mhm.
not because of your skin, but also because of the ability.
Right.
I think because we feel like we are a color, we can
Mhm.
just walk in and be like, okay, this is mine. Like we got to work for things. We got to show people why we deserve to be here. Why do
Yeah.
we deserve to have these opportunities? And because it's
Agreed.
not just for us, it's for our families, it's for the young people that watch us, whether it be, our nieces, our nephews, or even just people that we mentor. So I feel
Mhm.
like that keeps me grounded, that keeps me motivated every day to know that there's a bigger cause, and if I continue to work towards those causes, every branch of the tree is going to bear something. It doesn't matter how far it is or close it is. Wherever I, put my plants out,
Yeah.
something must bear. Doesn't matter if it's an apple, a banana, a pear, food has to be created because I
Yes.
started something with myself, with my faith, and knowing my history.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well said.
And I'm
Yes,
gonna jump
man.
in here as well. I don't know. How do I follow up that question, that answer?
Just
I
say
almost
ditto.
feel, how you're just like, yeah, what he said, but
Yeah.
I think it is, I'm gonna go with the evolution of what the perception of a black man is. And
Mm,
similar to the question or the answer before me is the fact that with black men, and I guess I'm just gonna get specific, in my opinion, it's that triumph of where we came from, because I remember as a young black man being told that you couldn't get this job for you, this job wasn't for you, you didn't belong in these spaces, why you here? And not only did it come from uh, people outside of our race, but it even came from within. It came from our
within.
communities, it came from our parents, it came from our friends. And the fact that I love the evolution where we're seeing, just like the answer before, we're seeing social workers who are black. We're seeing teachers who are black, kindergarten teachers who are black men. And I
Yes.
feel like it's that triumph where, yeah, we could be anywhere. We could put our stamp anywhere and we could still keep that authenticity of still
Yes.
being black and keeping our culture and keeping our essence as well. So I feel like it's such a beautiful time, and even just to be in the space with my fellow brothers and people out in the audience, it really puts you in a space where it's like you feel like a king now, you know what I mean? And I really love that aspect of leaving a legacy behind, because the one thing is sometimes when you, like I said, were growing up, you thought that you couldn't leave that beautiful legacy behind. But
Yeah.
even to have spaces where I'm thinking one day where I could leave bursaries behind. I could have awards in my name given to young black men as well. So it's just it's just that love, and I feel like that resilience too, right? I feel as a
Yes.
black man, even unconsciously, you're
Hmm.
provided this resilience where you just can't stop. You have to accomplish what you need to accomplish. So
Mhm.
I feel like
Amen.
that's the beauty, and that's kind of like the double-edged sword, where I guess you have the heaviness of having to be extra resilient, but at the
Mm.
same time, you're blessed with that resiliency to succeed. So I am done.
Wow.
End of thought right there.
Wow.
You said a lot of powerful things,
That was
especially in
beautiful.
Solid,
terms of,
brother.
right?
Solid.
That was
That was
beautiful.
extremely solid. I love that you said that sometimes some of these dilemmas and hurtful feelings come from within the community, because sometimes we don't always practice the village approach. But it's important to always remember that there's a variation of pain that comes within the community, and we have to keep uplifting each other and thriving. Thank you so much for mentioning all that.
Um,
So, Lincoln Alexander.
yeah. Honestly, I shouldn't have went last because it seems like it's like I'm just gonna repeat what everyone else is saying. Literally everything you guys were speaking to. The first thing
Mhm.
that grounds me personally has to be faith. I think there's a level of motivation, a level of discipline, a level of habits that I think
Yes.
I can have in order to execute, in order to fulfill my purpose.
Hmm.
But what I'm realizing is that there's always going to be more that I can do. Like my goal is to leave this world empty. Like I want to make sure that every gift that God's given me, the ones explored, the ones unexplored, I have to leave them here, as much as I possibly can. What I'm realizing is that there are ones that I feel God has given me that I may not be as passionate about anymore.
Yes.
And there was a moment where I pushed some of them aside, and I felt like God understood that. And then someone
Mm.
came to me. I felt like God was speaking to me, but also someone came to me that I trusted and was like, "Hey, why aren't you doing this anymore? Like you were passionate about it, you're doing it." And I'm like, "This just isn't the season for it."
Mm.
And I felt God say very, very clearly, it wasn't about what you wanted. It wasn't about what was convenient. Like I gave you a mission, I gave you a purpose, I gave you a gift, and I don't want you to bury it, right? We see how that goes
Mhm.
in the Bible. You don't bury
Amen.
the talents God's given you.
Not at all.
Um, so that's the first thing. Faith as like the back end motivator, the front end motivator for everything. Um, Community. So even before I knew what mentorship was, I had mentors. I had people that were doing things, being in rooms for me without me being there. And they gave me an opportunity for my next point, of exposure, being
Mhm.
exposed to what a black man could do here. Um, in my peer group, I was graced enough to be one of the first in a lot of different areas.
Mhm.
But it was only because I saw little things that a lot of my peers didn't see. Like I saw the authors. I was in rooms with multimillionaires before university, and that didn't happen in my high school. That wasn't a common thing. Um,
Mhm.
well, I was acting for over 11 years before I started doing like the book writing and stuff. And being able to see a check from a day's work that can help my parents out already filled me with enough confidence to not feel like I have to be bound to, what we're expected to do as
Amen.
youth in the community in general. So
Yes.
I was exposed to a lot early on, and that in the back of my head, once you've been exposed to something, you can't be unexposed to it, right? So
Mhm.
Mhm.
as soon as I see that I'm capable of
That's
something,
true.
there's really no going back to that, which is a little bit issue when it comes to humility, but we live with it. I'm getting better with that. Um, Legacy, I think John Jack spoke to it, Ben spoke to it as well. Andrew spoke to it, everyone spoke to it. I'm a new father. My daughter is 9 months old, and
Congrats, congrats.
thank you very much. I'm realizing that I always felt like I would be successful for my family in general before I had
Yes.
her, but
Hmm.
now seeing her and
Hmm.
feeling like she's getting closer and closer to recognizing habits I do and copying me, I have no choice but to be as disciplined, as efficient as possible. Um, I was 271. Quick testimony, I was 271 pounds 7 weeks ago. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I gotta cut down. I'm down like 25 pounds. But it was
Okay.
because I needed to make sure that it's not just about the weight or the numbers, but I need to make sure that when my daughter grows up and as she grows up, it's not just about my daughter, it's about the people around me, about my wife. As she grows up and as they continuously see me, they see someone of discipline. So
Yes.
that motivator in the back of my head for sure has kept me alongside my purpose. Um, yeah, I think all four of them together, community, faith, legacy, exposure, I think they've given me a foundation, um, and the tools to expand to wherever God leads me, without
Yes.
fear of myself getting in the way. It's much bigger than myself, and I acknowledge that at a very young age. So, yeah.
Yes.
Lincoln,
Absolutely.
welcome to parenthood.
Thank you.
It
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes.
only
Yes.
gets better
Yes.
from here.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've only
We're
heard
in
the
we're in
opposite.
the same boat, Lincoln. Trust me, we're
Yeah.
in
Right,
the
Andrew?
same
Welcome to
boat.
parenthood.
Yeah. Mine's just 1 month, so trust me, I'm there. I'm
Yeah.
getting there. You
Oh,
know what I'm saying? Just getting
Yeah,
there.
congrats.
yeah, for sure.
Congrats. That
Then I'm
is,
wondering, 25 pounds 7 weeks ago. What's your secret? That's what I'm
No, for
wondering.
real.
Listen, so you know what's funny? I was doing my whole thing with success support and like this coaching business. I help people accomplish their goals, like the busy professionals. I help people accomplish their goals all the time. When I had my own daughter, all the advice left me. I was like, where did the time go? I was coaching parents on this. I didn't know what not having time was like. I didn't know what operating on my child's schedule was like. I had a beautiful calendar before she was born, That doesn't exist anymore. I mean, now it exists now that I figured it out.
yeah.
Um, but the first thing I realized was doing the research based on who I am, not just based on like what TikTok or Instagram was saying, but I actually did the peer-reviewed articles, figured out like what the systems are. First thing I learned obviously was calories in, calories out. But outside of that, I can actually eat. I mean, I don't know if you actually want me to go into detail with this, but just nutrition,
Yeah.
making sure that I'm eating the right amount of food. It doesn't necessarily matter as much about the quality of the food, just the right amount of food that I can cook and my wife be okay with it, and the people that are coming over be okay with it, and me not be too picky. Um, and then exercising. I haven't been doing like a lot of running or like the 30-minute treadmill, just
Mm.
walking. Like I walk for like an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. And it's going very, very well.
See,
Very, very well.
what you're saying here is going to lead into the other question.
Oh, perfect.
And so the next question is, when you think about leadership in your own life,
Hmm.
what does it look like for you to lead with responsibility to yourself, your family, and or community?
Yeah.
You want to start that, Lincoln? Since
Yeah.
you started, bro. You
I might
started.
as well. Um,
Mm,
yeah, I take leadership very seriously. I just love I love the concept of always having influence. Like I realized this early on too, that whether or not you want it, you are an influencer. Like whether or not you feel like you have people looking at you, you do, right?
yes.
And they're either looking at you and being motivated to do good things or motivated to do the bad things. But either way, you're a motivator and you're an influencer. So, because I acknowledged that early on, I was trying to be intentional. My word for the last 5, 10 years was intentionality. You know, I wanted to figure out how I can live the most efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
And then after that, when I realized that efficiency wasn't everything, I've learned about what being a black Christian man, father, husband, friend, leader was in relation to gentleness. And that
Mm,
changed everything for me.
okay.
Um, Gentleness is
Okay.
how I think I broke through the threshold of leadership for me, or what I thought leadership was. I thought leadership was I can show you, I can leave you with something, and I expect you to do it. But the gentleness really developed me in focusing on how people feel and how I can come across, and the difference between intention and impact, and making sure that it's not just enough for me to feel like I'm doing a good job. I have to hear you say that you're being supported. I have to hear you say that you're being loved. I have to hear you say that you feel like you have the tools necessary to accomplish your
Yes.
tasks, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
I think that change changed
Yes.
everything because I couldn't be like the accolades didn't mean anything anymore. Me writing a book, me doing all these things, it didn't mean anything if the people that are closest to me, if my wife didn't feel like I was supporting her in a way that
Hmm.
she felt supported. It doesn't matter how many other people that are paying me to support them. If she doesn't feel supported, I'm not a good leader at home, right?
Right.
Um,
Mm,
Same thing
okay.
with the church community, same thing with my peer group that I call friends. If they don't feel like I'm showing up for them, then I'm not being a good leader. I don't care how many times I hear it. So it's just about being intentional about everything that you're doing, giving yourself grace, looking at the gentleness, looking at what you're portraying, what you're showing to people, and just being diligent, like sticking to your word, being a person of your word, and executing. And I
Yes.
think yeah, I mean,
The,
gentleness. Yeah, I think
the,
that's it.
the whole notion of
Mhm.
practicing what you preach,
Yeah,
Mhm.
right? Which is
right.
really key and important in you getting that realization once your child is born is like, I have to be accountable and
100%.
I have to do what I say because now I am
100%.
setting legacy in place,
Correct.
foundation. I
Yep.
love that. Amen to that. Who would like to answer the question? Do you need me? Do you need us to repeat it or?
Um, Ben, you want to go or you want me to
Yeah,
uh,
go?
no, I take a stab at it. It's a thought in my
Yeah.
head. I don't want to let it go,
No, don't let it go. Yeah.
So something I was told, and actually I was told this by my sister, and I remember this echoing in my mind where when we think of leadership, where there's everybody wants to be a leader, but don't want the responsibilities of being a leader. They want to be a leader by face value or on
Hmm.
paper. So the things that come to my mind when we're talking about leadership is it was a belief once upon a time like that leadership was masculine, patriarchal. I'm going to take control of a situation. I have all these aspects covered. But what I'm starting to figure as I'm navigating through like my professional work, with my community, with my tribe, is that leadership is about listening, right? It's about being
Hmm.
vulnerable. It's about taking your team or taking those who look up to you and
Yes.
attributing their ideas and
Hmm.
making it function in like a perfect, well, I'm going to say perfect, nothing's perfect, but like almost mechanics of like a machine, right? And I think it's so important that when we look at leadership, it's about communication. And communication, it brings the best out of individuals and people, right? So, like when we look at relationships with our family members or our friends, the one thing that I used to always have issues is I would try and change people, right? Like
Mm,
if someone's acting away, I would feel that, okay, we gotta nip it in the bud, we gotta confront it. But what I'm realizing, when you let someone be themselves
yeah.
and then play with their characteristics, where you play with their strengths, right?
Mhm.
You get the best of people. So I feel like leadership and mentorship is about bringing, I would say, strength base and bringing the best out of people and how they navigate through the world and using that as a positive. So definitely even just being there for your tribe, being there for your family, being there for your brothers as well, right? And exactly what Lincoln was saying, we are in the space that we are right now, and even just on this panel and the work that we do with communities,
Yes,
we are appointed as leaders and people
Right.
absolutely.
are watching. So the behaviors that we do, that can really translate to, once again, looking back at the legacy we leave and those who look up to us and those young people who look up to us and even our brothers who look up to us. So it's so important with leadership, the fact that you're open, the fact that you're inviting people to be the best they can be, and the fact that you're communicating and
Yes.
listening. So that's the end of my thought. I'm going to pass it to my brother Andrew.
Yes, I enjoy what you said, and what resonates with me is that being the best version of yourself to encourage
Mhm.
others to be the best version of themselves. Yeah, Andrew, please.
Um, I think the biggest thing about being a leader
Mhm.
that we tend to forget in our community, that a lot of leaders were once followers.
Mm,
Um, it
yeah.
doesn't matter if you go biblically, psychologically,
Hmm.
historically,
Hmm.
every leader had a follower. They
Right.
became followers before they became leaders. If you want to go biblically, before Moses took, you know, the people to the promised land,
Yes,
he was a follower.
absolutely.
Every biblical person, every historical person was a follower before they led. And I think a lot of us feel like because we lead, we can't learn. The learning stops.
Right.
Yeah.
And working in different atmosphere, that I'm grateful that God has like put me in different working spaces to understand. And I think we as people, as a business, can understand that like there are people that when we were part-timers and we saw full-timers and managers operate, we would
Hmm.
always put it in our head, when we become something, we're not going to act like that. Or when we
Yes.
become something, we're going to take those things.
Hmm.
So I think leadership is not just about leading, but
Hmm.
it's understanding how followers are going to be when we lead.
Yeah.
But also, the thing that we also forget as well, and Lincoln said it best, grace is the biggest thing. I think
Amen.
as leaders, the two things that we always have to remember is that
Hmm.
leaders don't mean perfect. Leaders will always have an ideology of where we feel to go, and
Yes.
sometimes life doesn't go that way. I
No, it
think we
doesn't.
all can agree that we've all had, like Lincoln said it, like before his child, he had a beautiful calendar rolled out, looked good. As soon as his child came, out the window. That doesn't make him a bad father. That doesn't make him a bad person. That doesn't make him a bad husband. It doesn't make him a bad leader. Life just put him in a predicament where he had to navigate, hold himself accountable, and be like, you know what, this direction wasn't the way I thought it could go, and regroup. And I feel like as leaders, we feel like as a leader, they always got to be right. They always got to be perfect. They always got, and that it's far from the truth. The
Yes.
best leaders held themselves accountable. The
Yep.
best leaders understood that there were flaws in the system. And the
Yes.
best leaders understood that things need to change. If we
Yes.
want to get biblical, we believe in Jesus Christ, but even Jesus Christ said that the biggest thing that he made mistake on was man.
Amen to that.
He was
Yeah.
the first man to admit, and Jesus held himself accountable, and we praise
Mhm.
him, and we're supposed to act like him. And if he
Yes.
can hold himself accountable, what about
Mhm.
us that don't have the perfect lifestyle as him? We're gonna
Right.
make mistakes, but as long as
Yes.
we can own up to it, understand it, face it, and be like, you know what, I need to make a shift. That's
Hmm.
leadership. Because if
Yes.
and I think we all work as kids, like working with kids. I've understand that kids are like sponges. They see
Yeah.
things. We can say a sentence and they'll
Hmm.
carry it till when they get older.
Absolutely.
But the thing is with kids, when they see something is done by somebody, they're gonna
Yes.
automatically think that's the way because it's done.
Because it's done. Right.
But when we start saying, you know what, I'm wrong, it forces a
Hmm.
kid to be like, you know what, that was wrong because he taught me that was wrong.
Accountability.
So I feel like accountability
Hmm.
and grace for our
Hmm.
community, especially, we need
Yes.
to really focus on that
Yes.
because not only the followers aren't going to be perfect, but the leaders ain't going to be perfect. But the
Yes.
destination and I would say the main focus is to live a better life and get our people. I wouldn't say back because we've already been here, but we're trying to heighten our people to wherever we touch is super golden.
Hey,
You get what I'm saying? Because it's already
thank you.
golden. As you can see, everything we
Pretty
touch is
golden.
already gold. But we're trying to make it golden more than before, like shine
Sometimes
brighter than
Right.
before.
you got to polish it a bit.
You know, a
Yes.
little polish. We gotta polish it up a little bit.
Just a
But
bit.
it goes back to grace and just holding yourself accountable. As long as you understand as a leader, you're gonna make mistakes. You hold
Yes.
yourself accountable. Let your team or your followers know, hey, I messed up. That shows
Mhm.
humanity. And that shows
Yes.
more leadership because the more honest, transparent, accountable, and grace you give is the more people be like, I want to be like this person because they implement what leaders, real
Mhm.
Hmm.
followers should operate.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank
and
you
just
so
to add to
much.
that, I
Please.
love the fact that you said accountability because that is one thing right now that I'm learning a lot of people do not hold. And that is
Hmm.
something that we as people need to start learning for ourselves. And to be honest, that is one of the greatest tools to become a leader, not just for the community, but to
Hmm.
be honest, to lead for yourself, to lead an
Yes.
example to yourself. Those goals that you set to yourself, those are
Hmm.
things that you need to take accountability for. If it did not get done, you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You're not looking at anyone else. You're not living for yourself. So I love the fact that you brought that together. That brings us to our next question. How has entrepreneurship, ownership, or creative work played a role in your own healing, stability, or sense of purpose?
Ben, you want to start it off?
Okay, no, I'll start it off. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna pick the category of entrepreneurship. And
Mhm.
I feel like with entrepreneurship and creating the Bright Side Scope,
Hmm.
here we go. I'm like pimping my brand of the Bright Side Scope. If anybody wants to check it out,
In a
I got
way.
Hey,
Instagram,
it,
everything, the website. But I believe that it actually cultivated confidence because even with myself coming up, like having it, I'm gonna bring my different intersectionalities of being a black man, living with visual disability, living in the suburbs, um, my creativity, my love, hip hop music, everything, all those intersectionalities together. And
yes.
for far, far, far too long, I felt like I had to only pick one in the
Right.
spaces that I was in. Like if I was in one space, I had to act that way, or I had to act ways that I figured that people would like. But even with the business of the Brightside Scope and doing public speaking and going into communities and actually bringing a voice to all those different intersectionalities, it
Yes.
has taught me the fact that so much power, you know what I mean? And it has taught me to give power to people, to let people be their own individual. And I feel that it is just so key to unleash that individual and let them be themselves. And I'm going to go back to accountability. I feel like that's going to be a mainstay in this panel, right?
Hmm.
Where I feel that when we speak about accountability, when we speak about like perfection, when we speak about just humankind and human beings, that we are in our heads, think that we have to be perfect, right? And growing up Black, because of obviously colonialization and anti-oppressive, uh, anti-Black,
Hmm.
it's the fact that for years we felt that we weren't perfect. We had our flaws, right?
Yes.
So the most important thing to know that, you know what, let's take away that trauma or that aspect and know
Yes.
that, you know what, I'm not perfect and that's okay. And take away that heavy load of perfection because I feel like just me expressing myself with my business, that took away a lot of, oh my gosh, I have to be perfect. I could just be myself. I could be uh a Black man living with a disability, loving his hip hop, loving his origins, Mother Africa. You know what I mean? Like I could
Yes.
just celebrate myself and not feel that I have to be like everybody else, right? So I feel like it really gave an opportunity to flaunt my skills and even encourage other people to flaunt their skills and flaunt their power as well. So end of thoughts.
Right, Ben. I agree with that. Not having yourself put yourself in a box all the time, to be able to be creative, free flowing, and be able to just experiment with beautiful things in life and make something amazing with it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, I think through entrepreneurship, all these things, I think the biggest thing,
Hmm.
and we have to be transparent, we need each other.
Hmm.
We need, it's not even a want. We need, and I always stress it to the workers that are underneath me. I call them, I don't even want to call them workers. I call them my family. Because they saw a vision that I explained to them and they didn't have to stay.
Mm.
They could have went and did their own thing, but they
Right.
saw the vision and heard passion in it. And I've learned through all this is that when I say we need each other, I put it as simple as this. Everybody has stubbed their toe before.
Oh yeah.
And as soon as you stub your toe, your whole body breaks down.
Hmm.
That's how much we need each other. That's just a toe. That's the one of the smallest parts of the physical body is your baby toe.
That's the
But once
worst.
that toe hits something, your head hurts, your eyes hurt, you're out, you're down for the count. I'll be honest, there's sometimes I hit my toe and boy, I don't want to do nothing else for the rest of the day because my toe hurts.
I
And
curl up like a baby.
that's just my toe.
I'd
So
like to let you know,
imagine,
and
you know what I'm saying? And
no.
that's why I say that we need each other. And when I say we need, is that it doesn't matter if you are the head, and I can use my personal experience, me being the CEO of this business. The people underneath me, I need them. As much as I'm the CEO, I
Hmm.
need them
Mhm.
because as much as I can do what I can, if it wasn't for the editor, if it wasn't for the photographer, if it wasn't
Yes.
for my co-producer, if it
Hmm.
wasn't for my other videographer, I would not be where I am projecting the way I am because I needed their ideas, their thoughts, their equipment, their plans, their vision, their heart, their passion. I needed them to make this body, which is, and I've said this as much, and I've told this to them already. I may be the CEO, but they have more say, if anything, because once they say this is it, I can do whatever I want. This is it.
Mhm.
Like I do it by myself, and it's hard. I think we all can agree it's hard to do everything
It's
by
very hard.
yourself. So we
Yes.
we need to. I've understand that in this lifestyle of entrepreneurship and leadership and all things of that nature, it takes every single cell, bone, skin, structure to make a body. And in order for me to make this body run, I have to acknowledge that I need the rest of the body. Because as much as I'm the head, if I don't have a neck, what can I do? If I don't have arms, I can't, handle this phone. So I think me learning about this made me understand that like we really need each other. So
Yes,
behind the scenes, we need people as much as the people in front, because if you look at the entertainment world, the people who produce or do the stuff behind the scenes half of the time make more money than the people in front of the camera.
absolutely.
But that's the thing. As much we look at the artists, but we don't look at the producers,
Yeah,
because the artist needs the producer just as much as the producer needs the artist.
very true. The village.
So we need to always remember, and I always keep that myself, we need each other. It doesn't matter if it's a nonprofit, doesn't matter if it's profitable, doesn't matter if it's an event, a show, a sitcom. We need each other. And once we understand that we need each other, it's easy to work. It's easy to
Yeah.
navigate, because you may have an idea that will help me grow. And I give you an idea that will help you grow. And then we grow together and we become a bigger body than expected. But we just
Uplifting.
need each other. And that's what I've learned. No matter
Uplifting.
what,
I
we
love
need
that,
each other.
Andrew. I love
Yes.
that. Teamwork makes the dream work. I
Teamwork
want,
makes it.
it really does. I want to change some gears a little and move on to vulnerability. So, my next question for you all will be, what has vulnerability looked like for you in present or past relationships? And what has made it easier or harder to be emotionally open with a wife or a partner? Lincoln, start.
Forgive me, I'm going to be back and forth because I am working, but I'm listening. Just letting you know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Letitia, for this amazing question.
No worries.
Um, Vulnerability. I said before, last 5 to 10 years for me, my word was intentionality. I think before that, it was vulnerability. I think that was the thing that I was striving towards. I think I was always a very vulnerable person. Um, but when it comes to having a partner, when you're in a first relationship, there is so much more vulnerability that you have to, or you don't have to, but it would greatly benefit you and your relationship if you were to dive deeper into um, sharing things that you don't have to share. I think there's a very big difference between vulnerability and honesty, right?
Hey,
You can be
yes.
honest about things, but being vulnerable about something is giving someone an opportunity to be in pain or to be hurt by what you're saying, or to have the ability to judge you for what you're saying, right? Um,
Yes.
and who wants that? I think
Honestly.
when I wrote my book, um, that was a journey of what am I learning in my life? I believe that it will help somebody. And because I believe that, regardless of how it sounds or how I feel in the moment, because I feel like
Mhm.
it's going to help somebody, I'm going to try to
Yes.
be as honest and as vulnerable as possible. I
Yes.
want to share that growing up, pride was my biggest enemy. Actually, we were best friends, me and pride. We were roommates, might
Yes.
as well have been.
Mhm.
Um, because I grew up super fast and because I was exposed to so much, there really
Yes.
wasn't much you could tell me. Like there wasn't much that could stop me. Um, until I got into my first relationship. And then I was like, oh, you can stop me. Okay, I get it. And
Okay.
then the Holy Spirit
Right.
convicted me in growing my relationship with Christ. I started to realize that, oh, God changes my heart. God actually transforms. He's giving me opportunities to not just be honest in this moment, but I can share more. I can make sure that this person knows what I'm truly feeling, and not just what I want them to feel. And it doesn't necessarily directly benefit me. I think vulnerability is the greatest weapon that we
Mm.
have when it comes to change. Um,
Yes.
I think it's our greatest power, if I'm honest. I think
Yes.
I you move more hearts with vulnerability than you do with anything else. When someone feels as though you've given them a piece of yourself, and you say you can do with this what you will, they now have the opportunity to make a choice, and like I said before, we're all influencers, and as you're influencing, as we're leading the people in our respective lives, in our relationships, um, when you do give that person this opportunity to say, you were wrong. Like you didn't make the right choices. You messed up. This goes back to giving yourself grace, like Andrew and I were talking about. Um, when you're able to put yourself in a position to be um, convicted or even condemned, you are operating in a super, super powerful art form that I would call
Yes.
vulnerability. And I think that
Yes.
everyone should practice first being honest with themselves, being vulnerable with themselves first, because that's the battle in of itself.
Mhm.
Um, the Bible says the greatest commandment is to love God and love yourself as your neighbor, or love your neighbor as
Yes.
yourself. And a lot of
Yes.
people don't even know how to love themselves, right? So
Right.
how do you do the second thing without first understanding what that love looks like? And I think we have to try it with ourselves first because it is very difficult, and then start practicing it with the people that you love, the people that you care about, and just see how it works. And you will be hurt, but that's a part of it, right? Being vulnerable, loving truly, there's an opportunity for everyone to hurt you, right? But outside of that, you'll never feel more secure. You'll never feel more fulfilled when that group or that individual shows you that your vulnerability was taken care of. Your vulnerability was met with more vulnerability, was met with more comfort, was met with appreciation, you know? And I think
Yes.
we have to dive into that deeper. We have to see what vulnerability looks like for each and every one of us, in order to see
Yes.
that result.
Absolutely. So what I hear is your relationship in love with God, your relationship in love with yourself, and
Mhm.
expressing that love with everybody else.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
And I
fantastic.
said it better. Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Ben or Andrew.
Ben, you want to roll? Go roll, Ben. Go roll.
This guy's hyping me up. This guy's
Come on.
hyping me. No, I'm
You
still in awe from Lincoln's answer. I'm still like that was well said. That was very beautiful. And I could tell, I gotta buy your book now because
hey,
that was such a beauty. Can we get a discount since we're on the same panel?
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
hey,
You DM me and I got you, man.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna keep this nice and short because I feel like that's a lot to think of.
Mhm.
yeah.
And when I think about vulnerability, I
Mhm.
almost feel like eh, when we think about not being vulnerable compared to being vulnerable,
Yes.
it's almost like putting that block up or being, I think of like hard plastic or some hard metal, right?
Right.
If you put that guard up, it's more chances of breaking, right? But when you are vulnerable, when you are a little bit softer, you're a little bit more malleable to experiences and emotions. So
Right.
I believe that vulnerability is important. We have to be able to bounce back because similar to what Lincoln's saying, sometimes we're not going to get what we want in being vulnerable. We could show our heart, show our sleeve per se,
Yes.
but then at the same time know that we might not get those results. So we still shouldn't walk around injured or heartbroken. It's so important that yeah, you continue with that vulnerability. And once again, as I said, you continue with that communication and that presence and that open heart to listen, right? Because I feel like you become such a better person when you're vulnerable and you just move through the world way better, just like I said in my answers before.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just very key to build that relationship. And as mentioned, building that relationship with family, community, and God as well. So yeah, just open up and know that people have you, right? I don't know if I answered that correctly,
No.
but yeah, that's
Yes.
a very good question still.
Yes. Would it be fair to say that in order to embrace change, one would have to be vulnerable and uncomfortable first?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Andrew, are you able to share your perspective on vulnerability, possibly in a way where, because you mentioned that you're a new father, could you speak on that and the relationship that you're in right now? And what does that mean to you? And how has that changed you, even in this relationship, current or even
Um, I think the one thing that I've carried with me in my relationship journey to where I am now, and I've told my girl this when we first started dating,
Hmm.
and I've said this to a lot of people when they interact with a friend level or relationship level. It's not you, it's the people before you.
Mm.
And I think that's where vulnerability gets trapped because people, for example, there are certain men that I know that can be very, very vulnerable,
Mhm.
very. But when you eat one bad apple and it tastes disgusting, you
Mhm.
try another apple, tastes disgusting. At some point, you're going to be very hesitant to want to eat another apple. And that's vulnerability in a sense of certain people. I like to be vulnerable. I think as Lincoln said, vulnerable is like the biggest weight that comes off. I think we could say as males, black males, that's the biggest weight that comes off our body the most when we can be
Mhm.
vulnerable
Mhm.
because like we walk around with heavy shoulders until vulnerability enters in,
Yeah.
and the strongest man can be soft as soon as vulnerability and peace hits.
100.
um I think in my relationship I have found the vulnerability of more based off the fact that I have set that table with me and my partner, letting her know and myself know that it's okay to be vulnerable here.
Mhm.
I think that's the number one thing. We lack of genuine conversation in general. Doesn't matter if it's partner, friend, whatever. I think we lack that part. I think we lack that. Let's just set the record straight. Let's lay this table out from the jump. And
Mhm.
whatever happens, at least we know we set that table. Um, I've always told her she could be vulnerable, however she feels. And I told her, and she's told me that I could be vulnerable. And it's easier said than done because you can always say, okay, you could be vulnerable, but a situation could come up and it's like hopscotch. It's like double dutch. It's like I want to do
Yes.
it, but I don't know how you're gonna operate. I
Mhm.
don't want to, like I don't
Mhm.
know. And it goes back to,
Absolutely.
like I said, it's not you, it's the people before you.
Yes.
Because when you get a when you get a certain reaction from one person and it's the same with the next and the next,
Yeah.
by default, you're thinking the next person's going to do the same thing
Emotional
just
slave.
because of the cycle before. Just like us black folks now with what we go through. Like now we're in a time where like we are breaking that cycle because we're now seeing not just our race but other races saying, you know what, we want to help. Like
Mhm.
we want to contribute because we want change for you too, right? So I think for me, it's as Lincoln said it, it's the best feeling in the world. The best feeling in the world to know that you can go to somebody, cry, be mad, be upset, and they understand and can
Yes.
support that and not make it a negative thing. Doesn't have to make it a disrespectful thing. Doesn't have to make it a, oh, you're getting at me thing. It's like we need to understand that vulnerability doesn't mean we're pointing fingers. Vulnerability means I'm coming to you because I have nobody else to express my thought. And
Mhm.
all I want you to do is hear me. Because sometimes I've even expressed myself and people have expressed to me where their answer comes in that vulnerability.
Yes.
Sometimes, like, I see why therapists do what they do. They let you talk, let you go through your
Right.
feelings until you get that. Like, you sometimes realize you get the answer right there.
Mhm.
Like you got to be vulnerable to get the answer. And I
Y-
think the vulnerability is that one small door that once you open it, the answers will come. It just takes time to walk in it, see it, clear your eyes a bit. But yeah, like vulnerability is just an amazing. But I just tell people all the time, remember, whenever you interact with somebody, relationship wise, whatever, it's not you, it's the people before you. And then you got to put yourself in that position to be like, okay, like I know you're reacting, but it's not because of me. It's because of something else from your past that made you act like this. So let's have a conversation. And then
Mm.
answers will
Yes.
flow.
Yes.
So we have a question in the chat. Thank you, Nicole.
Yes,
The
Denise.
question is, how did you get to be okay with vulnerability? We live in a world that criticizes and demonizes vulnerability for men, especially Black men. So, how did you get to be okay with that? What inside made you feel like it was right to be open to that person, to let your guard down, to, be okay with that unhealed trauma and work through that? What
Is
Mhm.
that
made
like
you?
a random question? Anybody?
I think
Let's
Yes,
start
no,
with
it was from Nicole. Yes, it
so
is a question in the chat.
start with
Uh,
Lincoln and let's go
did have a
to
point
Hannah.
actually I was gonna make after Andrew.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I thought
please do.
got popped up in my head where I remember seeing it was a YouTube video, and I totally agree with this where it was saying as us as Black men, because it's so difficult to get to that point of vulnerability,
Mhm.
when you take advantage or mock or belittle someone when they show the vulnerability, you instantly lost the person. And yeah, like
Mm,
as I said, just growing up as a Black man, we were shown that we can't be vulnerability, it's weakness, right? So
Yes.
I know one of the most important thing for partners of Black men or for friends or family or anybody who interacts,
Hmm.
understand that you have to dig deep to bring that vulnerability out. It's growing up, even with my friends, anytime, even anything that remotely showed vulnerability or emotion, you get mocked in a second, right?
Hmm.
So I feel that it's so important that we understand this with Black men, especially ones that kind of grew up in our generation. I don't know, generation coming up, even probably generation coming up, right? That
Yes.
you never take advantage, mock, or belittle or point out weakness, or you will lose that person instantly. It's over, right? It's done.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Lincoln,
yeah, to answer question as well. How did you get to be okay with vulnerability? Live in a world that criticizes and demonizes vulnerability from men. Um, I I guess I'm gonna be vulnerable. So I didn't really get to be okay with vulnerability, if I'm honest. You learn you are vulnerable at one point. One point you have to take a step to be vulnerable. Again, there's risk with everything that's important. So you take the step to be vulnerable. Someone meets you with positivity or negativity. It is now on you to either take another step or not take the step. For me, what I think has kept or given me the ability to continue to take steps is being assured in myself. So my
yes.
confidence, I knew exactly who I was. I knew what I was feeling. I knew that if no one else validated me, if I could find it in the Bible, then I'm solid. If I know that what I'm feeling is true, whether or not it's someone else's opinion, whether or not they can admit they've wronged me or something like that, if I know what I was feeling, I was able to validate myself in those moments because I was very, very confident in my identity. Again, this
Yes.
definitely stems from me being a follower of Christ, me being God's son. I don't just say that, like I truly believe that the person that created the world and the universe actually does love me. So because I believe
Mm,
that, it's
yes.
very, very hard for me to be, not that I don't do this, but it's very hard for me to be swayed by someone's response um, in in response to my vulnerability. Um,
Yes.
and I and I validate those thoughts. I validate how I'm feeling. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know that God loves me. I know that he says this and this and this about me. Because he says that, I'm able to be reassured that this person's opinion or this person's response is not going to break or discourage me for taking another step. I can just take another step. Um, but I think if you do not have that confidence, if you do not have that self-assurance, then it is very, very difficult to take that step because um, your ability and your actions will be dictated by how other people respond, which is a little bit scary because you can never determine how people will respond, right? You can never be fully sure that your vulnerability is going to be the response you or get the response you want. But you definitely have to take another step. And again, it's not just about you. Andrew, I'm stealing that. It's the people before you. I'm stealing that and I'm putting it in a book. And I'll quote you. I'll quote you.
I'll take the quote, brother. I'll take the quote, man. I'll take it.
That
I'll
was
take it.
fire. That
I
was genius.
love that.
It
No,
really
it is.
it really isn't about it's not just about you in that moment either. Like you being vulnerable also shows people that they can be vulnerable, even if they don't. I was doing programming for a few years with this charity I work at. And I was one of the only program coordinators that was black in the Bowmanville region. And I started a black kind of community group, a BSA with them. They've never had anyone do that before. And me sharing my voice or my testimony or my experience with these individuals that have only been negatively affirmed, have only been told, like, you guys aren't as good as your counterparts, you have to work harder, there's no one here that looks like you. Being told that over and over again, it really deters you from sharing openly ever. So seeing me share, actually, I was treated like this. The cops followed me home. And sharing my experiences, they get to say, "Oh, are we allowed to talk about this stuff?" And
Mm,
as soon as you close that door and say, "Yes, you are allowed to talk this stuff. This is the
mm.
safe space for you." You have to, again, it goes back to the leadership. You have to take that step, not just for yourself, but for others as well.
Safe people build safe spaces, right?
100%.
Hey,
Thank
I
John,
you
like
for
your
that.
sharing.
one-liners are fire, by the way. Incredible.
We had a statement that was made there. It says, I love that y'all are discussing accountability and vulnerability in 2026. A lot of people don't even know what that is or what this can look like. There is power in education. Vulnerability can unite us as people.
Mm.
And also, there was a mention by King Thomas. Um, isn't it the hardest to be vulnerable with yourself? We try hard to be the best, and sometimes we just can't be. And it's the hardest thing to see
Ooh,
yourself that way.
I,
Amen.
jeez.
I'm gonna be real.
Jeez.
I gotta comment on that because
Wow.
I think if we're gonna talk about black men, I think that's every black man on the face of the planet where
Mm,
as black men with the standards that has been put in front of us, and not even just off the merit of our ancestors, just us as men, like we
mhm.
grow up thinking like we gotta do this because we're a man, we gotta achieve this because we're a man and we want to do this, that we feel like when we fail it's the end of the world. And
Yes.
and I always have to make it clear to, I call them my young bloods, like some people that are younger than me that
Mhm,
look up to me.
mhm.
Shockingly, I always say shockingly because you don't really think these things, but I always tell them like it's okay to not have it at the moment. It's okay that you made a mistake. It's okay that you failed. Failure doesn't mean you're a loser.
Mhm.
Failure means you just fell short, but you get a second chance to redeem yourself. Because
Yes.
if that was the case, look at every sport that's played. I work at the Rogers Center.
Mhm.
When we lost game 7, it was the most heartbreaking thing in the history of Blue Jays. But
Mhm.
that does not mean Blue Jays should just roll over and be like, okay, we lost game 7. There's no chance we're going to go again. They're ready to go back again. And they added pieces. They saw
Yes.
what was wrong. They saw their issue. They saw what needs to be done. And now they're transitioning. And I
Right.
think if people that love sports, um, the one thing that was so funny, two things that had me like really thinking about transitioning. I looked at Two Chains. Two Chains is one perfect example. A lot of people don't know who Two Chains really was before he became Two Chains. So remember the Little Wayne song "Duffel Bag Boy," Player
Mm,
Circle?
yep.
Mhm.
That was Two Chains. A lot of people didn't know that was Two Chains.
Right.
He had that one hit song. It didn't go like it went good, and then he disappeared. And then
Mm.
he transitioned over, became Two Chains. Look at him now.
Right.
You get what
Persistence.
I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
second example, T.I. I don't
Mhm.
know if you guys recently seen. He shaved his hair and he's going back to the old T.I. But that's the thing. Like, it's okay to realize that there's a bump in the road.
Yes.
Something needs to change. Something needs to be
Yes.
done.
Absolutely.
There's time for a switch. So
Yes.
Like I feel like we need to start telling young black men and even ourselves, no matter the age we are, it's okay. It is okay to be like to mess up.
Yes,
Whoop-de-doo.
it's
You
okay.
know that you made a mistake. Let's figure out the plan. Let's regroup
Yes,
and we move forward. Because once
regroup.
we keep that in our head, we can't be stopped. We can never be
Mhm.
stopped. Never.
I love that. I love that. Absolutely. We had a statement in there, Letitia.
Yes.
I think that was from Tinika. Where was that? I'm scrolling up.
Me too.
Uh,
Okay. So
yes.
Tanika said mistakes are must. Takes its part of learning and growing from an Afrocentric perspective. It is the only way to grow. So there is no shame or second chances.
Yeah, that's valid.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's
Nicole said, what a good statement. I'm surrounded by amazing black men, and anytime I have a problem, they are trying to fix it. It's okay if you don't know how to fix it. It's okay if we just sit in the problem.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, sometimes you
I
can,
agree.
right?
I think that's the best thing to do. Sometimes sitting in the problem doesn't mean you stay in it for a long time.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, right.
Sitting in the problem is like sometimes you have to like we're quick to get out of things, but not understand we're in something for a reason. Like for
Mhm.
example, I'll use myself as an example. 10 years ago, I lost my dad in 2015, on the age of 24 when I was turning to 25.
Yes,
The world stopped for me and my family. Like
yes.
I didn't know how to navigate. And I'm talking about a black man, a black leader, a
Hmm.
black person who really cared about people and loved people. He would give the last plate that he had from his house to anybody. That's the type of love he had for people. So losing somebody that high of statue in your mind can like derail you. And the way I've transitioned to what I was to where I am now, a lot of people are like, how did you do that? Like, I
Yes.
lost somebody and now I'm still in the rut. But it's
Hmm.
like, it's okay to be in the rut because in the rut, you will find what you need to do.
Yes.
Like everybody, it's a marathon. I think a lot of people don't understand. Yes, time is of the essence, but it's a marathon. The same way you can get it like this, the same way you can lose it like this, and the same way you can lose it like this is the same way you can gain it like this. So it doesn't matter as long as you're willing to put in the work. And I think that's the thing. We just sit there and do nothing.
Yes.
We can't just sit there and do nothing and expect things to happen. We gotta apply ourselves, put in the work, look in the resources. As Lincoln said, believe in God, pray, read Bible, read scripture, be around positive people, and the answers will slowly create itself. That's what happens. So if you gotta stay there for a couple minutes, as long as you do the work, keep staying in it. Keep
Correct.
staying in it. You'll get your
Correct.
answer.
Absolutely. One of my favorite sayings is without affliction, you will not understand God's grace and mercy. Hmm.
I'm going to read some stuff in the chat.
Please do.
It says, we need, Christoph Lewis says, we need to promote that we should not be reduced to our mistakes.
Hmm.
That thing was, yes, in the rut, you will figure out what to do, what powerful lessons. We have Christoph. Big facts, Andrew. The
But
answers will slowly create itself. Put
but I
that work in.
but it, like I'm just happy that question was brought up because someone brought this up a few days ago. And I think we are waiting for higher authority to
Mhm.
give us answers.
Mhm.
Like, especially in our community, like if you look at the communities, like everyone's like, well, here's the problem. But it's like the solutions are right in front of us. But we keep looking at the problem being the invisible elephant in the room when the answers are literally like a pair of glasses. Like it's right there,
Mhm.
but we're not looking at it. So I feel like we shouldn't wait for somebody of high stature to be telling us this. Like we could tell
Brother,
this to our friends. We
yes, we
could tell
can.
this to little kids that we see. Tell this to people where we work. Like if we do that, that's still doing the work. Like we don't need an influencer when the power of the tongue for everybody does a lot, right? Like look what we're doing right now. Like all four of us, five of us, six of us are having a conversation. Look how many listeners are there. We are not at the level we want to be, but
Mm,
we're at a level where people are listening to us.
I'd like to
appreciate
stop
So
that. I think you guys are at the level that I want you to be, and I think you
it.
guys are doing phenomenal in this
I'm
work.
I'm
I
not there
Okay.
yet.
appreciate you.
I
I
Yes,
think
yes,
appreciate you.
yes, you are. You
maybe
are. You are
LinkedIn,
on
maybe
here.
LinkedIn.
I personally am putting you at the highest.
Yeah,
Mm.
man. Me
You
reach, me
might not in
reach.
yourself,
This
but in
Mr.
my eyes,
Andrew,
I
can
mean,
I say,
you're
Mr.
up there.
Andrew, you are a CEO,
Mm.
Right. You need to take some
author,
thoughts
and
into that. You did
oh,
that work.
No, no, of
Each
course.
and every
Listen,
one of you.
I'm grateful. I'm not sitting here saying I'm not grateful. I'm grateful, but as Colby said, the job's not done.
Mm.
Mm,
The job's not done. Yes, I'm there, but there's so much more. As
Mm.
Lincoln said, there's so much more envelopes to unravel. So it's like, yes, I'm happy to be here. Yes, I'm happy to be where I am in life. But there is so much, especially with the opportunities that the big man upstairs has, the amount of opportunities that's around, the black opportunities that are there that we can work with one another and build one another. The job is not done. So I'm still as a leader, I'm still hungry.
Mhm.
mm.
As a
Good.
leader, I'm still hungry. Because
I see that.
followers, they get hungry. Leaders, a lot of them settle. I
Mm.
don't settle, I get hungry.
Mm.
I like it.
Can I speak to that? Is that
Yes.
possible?
Yes.
Yes,
So
it is.
okay. So immediately when I heard that, I usually say um to people that are around me, people I'm coaching, I would say that the goal is the process itself. And I think that we've talked about that a lot, the adaptability, the importance of being able to change and to learn from your mistakes. Andrew, I'm gonna have to disagree with you, sir. I agree that there is more. There's always going to be more. And I think it's super, super important to
Mhm.
acknowledge your successes and acknowledge your stature. Those three letters, CEOs are big, those are big letters. And
Mm,
the people around you will look at those letters and see that you're still striving. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. But what could be a problem is if they see you striving at the CEO level, they'll say, oh, CEO is not enough. Okay, that means what he's accomplished isn't enough yet. And it's not that
right.
it isn't enough because you have accomplished so much. There's just that there's more that God has for you, which is great. But don't
Mm.
ever forget to celebrate how he, because the person that you were 10 years ago would
It's
have
Was
not.
not a
dreamed
CEO.
of being
Of
the person you are
course.
today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course.
So I would love to hear you talk about like how amazing you actually are because you are on this panel for a reason. And it's not just because you've gotten to level B. You're there. That's why you're here talking to us, you know?
Of
And we're
course.
listening from a place of this guy has wisdom that we're learning from. You know,
Mm,
so I don't want you to lower the level you're at. Okay, cool, cool,
No,
cool.
no, it's never lowering.
Mm,
My dad used to say something, um, preach about this in the Bible, and I always carried it.
mm.
He that exalted himself shall be abased, but
Yes.
he that humbleth himself shall
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
exalted.
Fair enough. Fair
Yes.
enough.
And that's why I said, like, I'm grateful. Trust
Mm,
me. When
mm,
I look at
Mhm.
what I'm doing, I'm proud. But
Yes.
like you said, like there is so much more. And I'm not talking about CEO, just
mhm,
opportunities, not just
mhm,
for me that I can
mhm,
give people.
mm.
Mm.
That's why I'm saying the job's
I
not
hear
done.
you.
Yeah, for
Because
Yeah.
as a
sure.
CEO, it's not just being the CEO,
Hmm.
it's opportunities.
Yeah.
It's making sure that whatever position I'm in, not
Mm,
only my family can benefit, but the
mm,
people I don't know, that's my
mm.
color, can benefit for their family.
I like
That's
that.
what I
Yes.
mean. Like the job is never done. I'm
Mm,
happy to be
Awesome.
mm,
CEO. I'm happy
yeah.
to do what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
there's
Awesome.
so much like connecting with all of you, connecting with the
Hmm.
panel. There's so
Mm.
much to do. So I'm excited. So I don't even think about, oh yeah, I'm a CEO. I'm thinking about what more?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
The
that's a good.
Mm,
opportunities. What more can we create to make
mm,
our blacks like black? Like, you know
mm.
what I'm saying? Like, that's what I
Darker.
mean. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
I want to ask one more
Yes.
question, everyone. Thank you. And it will be, when you think about reclaiming your voice, what does that mean for you today? And how do you hope that growth carries forward into the future?
For some reason, I feel like Ben has a great answer for this. I don't know why.
Pretty much spot. I love it. I love it. You know what? I'm just so energized by being here. Reclaiming your voice. You know what? This is an opportunity for me to be louder. You know what I mean? Like, yo, for so many times we have to be quiet. We have to whisper past individuals, past society, but even reclaiming my voice and having this discussion with Andrew and Lincoln, everybody in this room, it has even inspired me today and all the spaces that I visit that you're able to have a loud voice. You're able to put that energy. And I really like even the discussion of how we're talking about celebration, but striving for more. So even with that said, it's something where I could be loud and proud and I could celebrate my accomplishments,
Excuse
but
me.
then have that humbleness and that grace as well as that outward to give to others. So I feel like when you do reclaim your voice, it's so important that the fact that yeah, you just all the history and what you came through, and then even to have that translated into something just being you. And like I said, I don't know how to even say it in words. No, I'm almost like usually I'm not speechless, but just that energy that comes out. So
Mhm. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, let me add to this.
Please.
Oh, sorry. Actually, what was the question? My bad. I did
Yeah,
have an
so
answer. Yeah.
No worries.
no worries. So it says, when you think about reclaiming your voice,
Uh-huh.
what does that mean for you today? And how do you hope that growth carries forward into the future?
Got you.
Think of this as a letter to yourself.
Mm. Okay, so I feel like reclaiming my voice is also taking up space. So I think I've always been good at taking up certain amounts of space. And
Mhm.
I would stop myself. There's a beautiful story in the Bible, where basically a prophet's told to throw down arrows, right? And the prophet stops themselves at I think three or four. And he said, "Why did you stop throwing down arrows? I never gave you an amount to throw down. Because you only threw down three and you didn't throw down 600, the people that you wanted to take down, the army that you were trying to attack, they're only going to be taken down for a few days and then you'll be conquered by them." That concept to me is that there's always more arrows you can. Don't stop yourself when God's given you the opportunity to take up more space, right? To be a little bit louder. I think for the black community as a whole, black men for sure, but I think the black community as a whole have minimized ourselves even when we've achieved so much, even when we've accomplished so much, even when our value is through the roof, we still minimize ourselves in the way that we communicate what we do. We call our businesses small businesses. We say our little business here or our little talent, I'm okay at this, I'm okay at that. And there are people in other communities that are yelling about the terrible talents, the terrible businesses that they're running with. No disrespect to them, but we have so much value here that we don't talk about enough, that we don't big up ourselves enough about.
Yeah.
For me, my coaching business, I didn't really understand the value. I didn't really start my coaching business. Someone asked me to coach them, and that's kind of how it started. Um, but so I didn't really get to see the value. I didn't get to like imprint the value, and it was so hard for me to communicate what the value was for that person because they reached out to me. So how can I communicate their personal growth to others, you know?
Mhm.
But this year I changed it up. I said, you know what? I feel like God is giving me more opportunity to speak up a little bit. I do feel like I bring value. I do think there's transformation that happens when I work with people. And because of
Mhm.
that, I'm upping my prices by like I think I like quintupled my prices.
Mhm.
Not just out of craziness, but there was a friend that I had that also encouraged me. So
Yes.
my prices went way up. And there was a part of me that was like ashamed, like how dare you? How dare you ask someone else to pay you this much to encourage them, to motivate them, to keep them aligned. How dare you? I don't care how good you think you are. You're not this person. You're not this person, right? And
Mm.
I had to silence that part of me. I'm not gonna lie. I had to say, hey, you gotta take a back seat at least until this contract gets signed. If it gets signed, then we'll see how the confidence builds. But
Right.
after I did that, the first client I got, or the first client that approached me, paid it without even second guessing. There was no back and forth. It was just like, yes, yes, yes. And I started to realize I was stopping myself. God saw the value. I don't even know if this is where he wants me to stop, but God saw the value. And I think he sees the value in every single one of us. And he says, you are meant to be here. The Bible says your gift will make room for you, right? So it's not that you have to minimize yourself. You step in. I think Ben said it beautifully with hit the intersections of who you are and what you do and what you like. Like God can use that to create positions. God can use that to create clients just for you, to create an audience just for you. And I think when we really acknowledge that and really deep that, then we don't have to compare ourselves to um, what the professional standard is. That
Yeah.
no longer exists. Now it's God, what do you see for me, right? What are you telling me to do? How can I be obedient in this moment? And obedience may look like stepping out and being louder. So for me,
Mhm.
it is being louder. I am
Mhm.
much louder this year than I've ever been in my life. Very, very scared, but I think I'm seeing the fruit of the value that God has shared with me that I'm providing.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I do have a question in terms of, I know everyone's talking in regards to the work that they're doing, vulnerability, and how, keep going. But what does rest and relaxation look like for you? Nicole was asking that, like, what does your downtime, you just being free of the chaoticness that happens in this world, what does your time finding peace and balance look like?
That's a good question.
Hmm.
That's a very good one. Sleep is one. And I know people laugh at that, but I don't think a lot of people understand the values of sleep. It's a cleanse. It's a brain cleanse. A lot of people don't function because they're not getting that much sleep.
Yeah.
And if you look at like obviously statistics can vary, but they always say your body must get at least 6 to 8 minimum hours of sleep per
Yes.
day. Easier said than done. I'm gonna sit here and stand on a hill. Easier said than done.
Yes.
But um sleep is important. Um being around great people, I think that like iron sharpening iron for real. When I mean iron sharpening iron, it's not a joke. Like being
Yes.
around people that are always thinking of the next step in life or the opportunities or like it sounds like work, but it's not because like that resting moment,
Mhm.
sometimes you're thinking in your mind. Like I can speak for me where it's like even though I'm resting, I always think of like, what's the next move? What's the
Yeah.
next step? And then when you're talking to somebody that is already making a move for themselves in their own field, it just
Yeah.
motivates you. Like it just feels nice to hear, you know, somebody just do well. So that's
Absolutely.
kind of like my relaxing time. Music, playing sports, being around um but your my relationship, Jesus.
Yes.
When I say
Yes.
like having a good partner is so important,
It's valuable.
um, us men, like I said, we always have our armor on every day. Like
Hey.
we always gotta
Amen.
face the world.
Thank you.
So to come home and literally take every piece of armor off,
Don't take
like
it
from
off.
helmet, shoes, sword, shield, a
Mm.
breastplate, all that, when you can just take
Keep
it
the
off.
breastplate on.
And you know what I'm saying? And just be in your shorts and your boxers with your person, with your partner. Oh my God, it feels good. It just feels free. Like you can be yourself, you can relax, you can snuggle, you can listen to music. Like that, that for me
Hmm.
is my downtime.
I
Being
love
with
that.
family, being with people you love,
Hmm.
music, sports,
Hmm.
reading, those little things.
I like
Those
it.
would probably be my times of downtime.
I enjoy that. I appreciate you sharing that. Amen to that. Lincoln, what's your downtime?
Yeah, I did not like downtime. I'm not gonna lie to you. Did not
Hmm.
like it. Didn't think I needed it. I
Yeah.
think I could tell a lot of other people to take rest and take care of yourself. That's your first mission, yada. But I didn't really believe in it
Mhm.
until I had no choice. My wife um was watching me work so much, and
Mhm.
she was watching me with the initiative I had. Again, like I said, I want to leave this earth empty. And what that looks like practically is when I do find a gift or a talent or a skill, I want to see how that can, one, glorify God. I want to see how that can encourage people. I want to see how that can bring money into the family so Noah can yada yada. Like I want to see those things come to fruition. Um, she challenged me the other day, like very
Mhm.
recently, and she was like, "Hey, do you feel like you've prayed about this opportunity? Have you prayed about this opportunity? Did God tell you to do this, this, and this?" I would
Mhm.
come back to her after praying and say, "Actually, God didn't tell me to do this or this or this or this." So rest
Yes.
from, I think, for the last 2, 3 months looked very different for me. And 2, 3 months of rest now is forcing myself to lie down, forcing
Mhm.
myself to engage with the people I love intentionally.
Mhm.
Um, I met with the psychotherapist for the Toronto Raptors a few years
Mhm.
ago, and she told me sleep, nutrition, exercise, grounding, and social connection. So those are like the 5 areas I'm
Hey.
focusing on intentionally and almost unintentionally, because I've been studying it. But real rest to me doesn't look like the tasks. It looks like not doing something, stepping away intentionally, stepping away,
Yes.
pushing work, pushing opportunities away from me, which is something
Mhm.
Yes.
that didn't make sense growing up, right? Because we didn't have a lot of money. It was, what can we do in this household to make sure mom and dad don't have to struggle as much, right?
Mhm.
So when opportunities come, you don't push them away.
That's
But
right.
I'm hearing God tell me, you don't
Mhm.
need that. Like, I actually will sustain you. Like, you actually don't need that. What I need you to do, and the Bible says so cool in Psalms when he says he makes you lie down in green pastures. I think
Pastures.
makes, to me, is forceful. Sometimes he
Mhm.
has to make you sit
Mhm.
down for a second, and just take a breath.
Yes.
Loved what Andrew said about spending time with the loved ones. That has been huge for me. But yeah, sitting down and
Thank you.
moving away from things has been
I
huge.
appreciate you. Well
Mhm.
said. Thank you. Ben,
Yeah,
downtime.
absolutely, absolutely. And similar to what Lincoln and Andrew are making mention is loved
Mhm.
ones, and
Mhm.
similar to what Lincoln was saying, like I didn't even know what rest was, like kind of always working to strive to be where I want to strive to be. it, my mind was always racing, and I'm a type of person who's just go, thinking about the next plan. But what I have learned in the last few years is the fact that rest is an investment in yourself, right?
Mhm.
So
I like that.
exactly. So the more rest you get unconsciously, it helps you get to the goal you want to be at because you're rejuvenated, you're replenished, you're energized, your battery is charged again. So absolutely, I would say just friends, family, social life, the love of music, the love of sports, um, even God, of course, prayer,
Spend some time.
meditation.
Spend some
And
time
I
with him.
found that the more I incorporated that, and even
Mhm.
having that in my work and having that in my responsibilities, it has given me the opportunity to turn to those spaces, even in a work environment. So I get the best of both worlds. So definitely, I got to tell everybody out there in the audience that, like I said, rest is an investment in yourself. And unconsciously, sometimes you don't see it right away, but it really helps you go far distances for sure.
Yes. Yes. I completely agree with you, Ben. Yes.
Thank you all. I want to read some things in the chat. We have
Mhm.
Christoph that says, I'm learning to see solutions in every perceived problem. What I'm learning is to recognize before I compare finished products. I have to act that I have to ache that
To
they
ask.
have
Yeah.
asked
Yeah.
that they have gone through a process, just as gold goes through a refining process to purify. make me think of Job chapter 23, verse 10. And then he also says it's a strong point.
Hmm.
Going down, I truly agree that everyone's clapping. Amen. Amen. Well said, Lincoln. We have a very powerful scripture. King says it's interesting that we bring up rest. A lot of people find rest, sleep as vulnerable. Joy Dean also says wisdom knows when to move, rest knows when to pause, both protect the soul.
Hmm.
Casey also says, I hope we have the time for another question. What advice would you give to the younger generation regarding mental health, as it has not always been recognized in certain communities?
Hmm.
Oh, that's a good one. That's
Hmm.
a good one. Should I start this?
And you
Please.
spit your stuff, bro.
Okay. I'm happy someone asked this, and I'm going to be very transparent and very bold saying this.
Mhm.
We need to properly identify mental health and the idiocity.
Mhm.
And the
Mm,
reason why I say that, because we are living in a time where people are doing dumb stuff
Mhm.
and considering it mental health.
Mm. Okay.
We need to cut it out because there is a mental health issue going on,
Mhm.
and certain people use mental health as a crutch to get away with things. When you would do something wrong and their parents would be like, why you do it? And then they point at their brother or
Mhm.
they point at something instead of look within themselves and be like, I'm wrong.
mm.
We need to
Accountability.
really stress that out because there's a lot of people who play with that word. And
Mm,
this is not like Nintendo Switch where you can play with mental health. Like it's a serious thing. There's people that
Mhm.
go through it. There's people that go through disabilities. There's people that are going through trying times that like suicide is a serious thing. Those
Yes, it
stuff is
is.
deep. So when
Yes.
people play with those words, we need to know how to use those words correctly and
mhm,
also understand the meaning of those words. And
Mhm.
don't use that word because you want to create trouble and havoc and problem. Because a lot of this generation doesn't know how to separate that. They're putting
Mm.
everything underneath one when that's not the case.
Mm.
mm,
You did something wrong because you chose to do something wrong. You
Yes.
wanted to like that's something as humans, we need to understand it goes back to accountability. Accountability's understanding is I don't have a mental health issue. I made a bad mistake. I'm
right.
wrong. I can't run underneath something and use that as an excuse to get away.
Right.
I think when we start identifying that and making that clear, then mental health will be more serious to people. Because now it's like no offense, nowadays for certain people, mental health is like a joke.
Right.
It's like a joke when it's a
How it's
serious thing.
perceived. How it's perceived, right?
It's a
Yeah.
it's a serious thing. Like we could look at every different thing and be like, people are just throwing it around. People are
Right.
just throwing it.
The word so loosely.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like friendship. People are throwing friendship around. People are throwing family around. That's what certain people are doing. People are throwing mental health around. You can't throw those things around. This
Yeah.
is a
Right.
serious thing that's in our community, and we gotta really take that serious. So we need to make it a thing that we don't play around with. Just like how us as Christians, we shouldn't be playing around with God and just flinging God around like it's something. We can't be
Mhm.
playing with mental health. We can't be playing with family. Can't be playing with counseling. Those are serious things.
Mm. Thank you.
So that's what I would say how the younger generation will do better is taking those words seriously and really looking into those things.
Thank you,
Yes.
Andrew.
Approved. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I agree actually. I think that for me, like I said before or was in my bio, I have a nonprofit focusing on developing mental health advocates, and everyone on the team is a young adult. So our main focus is high school students, university students. And the the advice I give, especially in the Black community, the advice I give is that the conversation is being had,
Mhm.
even with men. Even with men, the conversation is being had. We just aren't. speaking the language that is needed to facilitate the conversation they need to be having. What do I mean by this? So, mental health is a broad, general, positive term, right? Everyone has mental health. Mental
Yes.
illness is diagnosed. Poor mental health is the negative version of mental health, right?
Mhm.
So everyone at times has poor mental health, positive mental health.
Right.
For us being in the Black community, we don't say the term mental wellness. We don't say those things as often as other communities do. But what we do say is, yo, I just gotta go breathe. I gotta go for a drive. I gotta go hoop now. Like you can't believe what's going on with me. And I was gonna say my shorty. You can't believe what's going on in my community or my
Yeah,
environment. Um,
absolutely.
and I gotta blow off some steam. Or I'm
Yes.
not feeling well right now. I'm not gonna go to class. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this. There are signs everywhere where people are struggling with mental wellness
Thank
and they
you.
don't know how to communicate what they're struggling. They just don't have the language for it. And
Yes.
our parents that didn't also know how to communicate that or were disregarded for acknowledging maybe something was wrong in their lives
Hmm.
also don't have the language for it. So if
Right.
the people that are struggling don't have the language and the people that are their parents and guardians um, are deterred from having that conversation based on what they've experienced, we have a huge issue on both ends.
Hmm.
So what I would say the advice is for youth, if there were youth on this panel, or if there are youth in the room, I would say to think about the decisions you're making day to day. Look at
Yes.
how you feel. Even if you do an audit of how you feel throughout the day and figure out when do I feel the worst, when do I feel the best, and why is that? Start asking questions and share that with someone. It doesn't have to be a therapist, it doesn't have to be a psychologist. It can just be someone that cares about you, that you care about, that you're able to be vulnerable with, and share, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm feeling it. This is why I'm feeling, or this is what I'm feeling. And for the guardians around them, start looking for patterns in habits.
Hmm.
There are patterns. If they're great, then you'll see a pattern of them always happy. But happiness and joy doesn't mean that they don't have an issue, right?
Right.
So you have to look deeper past the physical, past the smiling. You have to look at their eating habits. You have to ask them questions, deeper questions, and talk to their friends, talk to the people that are close to them, and figure out exactly what is their perception of how they're feeling.
Yes.
And that obviously is going to come with time. That's going to come with vulnerability. You may not get the answer you want. You may not get a direct answer, but the same thing with taking the step, you have to, right? Because it's no longer about you. When I was in high school, first year university, my sister, I grew up a pastor's kid, um, Caribbean pastor's kid. Mental health was not a conversation for us.
Mhm.
My older sister, my only sister, she shared with us after church one Sunday. She put a note on our fridge and then ran upstairs. And the note said, "Has anyone noticed I've been quiet lately?" And everyone was like, "What in the world does that mean?" Now, I've started to hear about mental health and mental illness, but my response to that, along with my father's and my brothers, was like, "You gotta go pray. We just went to church, and you're talking about being quiet. You better wake up and pay attention." And that was our perspective with everything.
Yes.
That wasn't an option now though, because she communicated a pattern that we missed, right? So now we're at fault. We don't know what it actually means, but we do know that we've heard of people that have struggled with mental health before, and because it's an issue, we have to pay attention. So that's actually when I started my nonprofit, because I needed to educate myself, and I opened it up to my friends and my community to say, hey, does anyone else want to learn about this? And that's
Hmm.
where TFIS came from. But it started with the pattern recognition. It started with not recognizing a pattern, being told we didn't recognize the pattern, and now addressing what the feeling was and what we can do to support that person. That's
Yes.
kind of a long
Well
story, but
said.
thank you.
Well said. What I hear from that especially is listening, because there's always patterns and there's signs, and
Mhm.
allowing someone to be vulnerable, as we were talking about, and being able to be um, soft, kind, gracious, all of the above that we covered. Ben.
Absolutely. And I believe how it is, and kind of going into what Lincoln was saying, I feel like with seeking out mental health professionals, especially with Black folk and even young Black men, we as professional health, mental health professionals, counselors, those in the helping field,
Hmm.
I think it's so important to start speaking the language, right?
Yes.
And I feel like when it has come to counseling or any sort of support,
Hmm.
it was such I would say like a westernized, this is how we do it, this is our process, right? So
Right.
I feel like we're in a time where we have the ability to incorporate our essence of
Hmm.
how we deliver mental health support. So even bringing in spirituality, religion as well, incorporating that in the practices of counseling, because for far too long it was almost separate, right? Like it was
Yes.
Mhm.
almost you can't bring religion into to support, right? And then
Hmm.
even bringing like culture as well, where I I remember working with someone, an African counselor,
Yes.
and I I remember just the language and the way you interact. It almost felt like this person gets me. It's home, right? It
Hmm.
almost
Mhm.
felt like
Hmm.
my uncle counseling me, but knowing the right things to say. And
Yes.
I feel like even to Andrew's point, sometimes when we do look at like terminology of mental health and we do look at certain verbiage, you have too many people saying, "Oh, I have PTSD.
Hmm.
I I have trauma. Oh,
Yes.
I'm traumatized," right?
Hmm.
But sometimes we need to say, like, what does that look like? And you know what? Even I think I'm so used to kind of coming up in that world, someone challenging me when you are going through something, right?
Hmm.
I know even utilizing counseling where here's me listing off all the problems I'm going through. Oh man, school, this and that, finances. And sometimes you just need the person on the other side to be like, yeah, and you pause.
Yes.
You pause and you're like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So I think all in all, just incorporating our essence as Black people in the services we have. And I feel like that will benefit, especially coming from, I don't want to call myself an old head. I'm still in my in my 30s, but
Oh, no.
to as Andrew said, a young blood, I guess I am an old head, but to
No.
know how to speak that language, even like Lincoln said, like a counseling session could be bawling with a young person, right? A counseling session could be saying, "Hey, like you're into hip hop, write a verse." You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be traditionally sit on a couch, tell me your problems. So just bringing those essence and
Yes.
then having that aspect of I got you as another Black man, right? Sometimes you just even need that support. So I find that, as we said, it is my responsibility, and I will take that responsibility, of course, being a social worker, to be there for young people and to be that role model and to give them space to express, I ain't feeling good, I ain't feeling well, and how to go on from there.
Beautifully said, Ben. Thank you so much. I know Andrew wants to say something. Please go ahead.
Thank you, everyone.
I was gonna say, um, what Ben said at the end. I don't even think it's a counselor responsibility, you know. I think it's just in general all around responsibility for all of us
Mhm.
Mhm.
because we have, like, for example, we have a couple nonprofits here. I help a nonprofit called Cardia Healing Tribe. And I know it deals with that, but the thing is though, like, it's us as people that are not even in the counseling world or the sector world to actually say, hey, like, did you look for any help? Do you need any help? Do you want me to find you somebody? Because I feel like, yes, counselors, it's your duty, but at the same time, you can't find them.
Mhm.
Sometimes they gotta be willing to find you,
Yeah.
right? And there's only so much counselors can do. Like, yes, you can sit down and do all these things, but it boils down to us as people that are not in the counseling world, we gotta like make it clear to our people. It's like, I know somebody, I know a nonprofit that Lincoln has. Maybe you could speak with them.
Mm.
Maybe I know Ben who does a nonprofit. I could send you to him. Maybe have a conversation with them.
Yes.
I feel like the same energy will we have for people to say, yo, let's go to a club, let's go holler at a girl, let's go do this, let's have girls' night. We should have that same energy to be like, yo, do you need help? Let me go help you find somebody.
Yes.
Let's go find somebody. Because sometimes you are looking for it too. So it's like, yeah, let's go together. Let's go find somebody. Let's go research. And we have this, guys. Let's just be
Absolutely.
real. Like, there's no excuses anymore. We have a
No, there
phone.
isn't. Yeah, we have a
And the
phone.
way this phone works is way different from 20 years ago, back in the 90s. Like,
Yes.
now you can find nonprofits out
Yes.
here that they made, like, and I think that's the main thing I really want us to stress about. We as nonprofits need to really work together
Mm.
every time. I feel like we are a little bit too dividing, because obviously depending on like if we're working for funding and XYZ, like we want, but listen, like a win is a win.
A
Like
win
if
is a win.
one nonprofit makes money, that means we all can help young people.
Hey,
Because that's the goal. No, there should be no nonprofit that's not trying to work with a nonprofit some way, somehow. Because the whole premises of nonprofit is to help something, build something.
community. Help community.
So we
Yes.
need to build. So like I wanted to bring that up because I think it's so important because I've noticed like there's a little bit of a division in the nonprofits. Oh,
Yes.
because I have a nonprofit, I can't really work with you. No, if
Oh,
anything, I may not be working with you 100%, but if I can work alongside you, that if somebody in my sector I can't do, I can send them to you.
we
The
need to
help
make
should
that.
be going in a circle.
We
Like if
need
I
to
can't
make that
get you, I
another
can send you to somebody
conversation.
else. Can't get you, someone else. But at least there's a child that can say there was somewhere.
Yes. Agreed.
There's no like,
Agreed.
oh, well, they try to send me somewhere, but no, we should be able to at least reach out to one another. I should be able to reach out to Lincoln, be like, yo, Lincoln, my sector can only go so far. I know you can go two steps up here. Take that
Yes.
lob, help this kid.
Hey.
And that looks in the younger generation, it looks like okay, like there's no dividing. These nonprofits are really caring about kids, not just the
Yes.
younger ones, but the ones in the teens, the ones in the 20s, because there's some 20s that
Absolutely.
need some help too. It's not just the
All of the
teens and the little
community.
youths. The 20s need some help too.
Yes.
So we need to. I really wanted to put that out there because it's important for 2026. We need to work together.
I
Nonprofits too. Like seriously.
absolutely appreciate everything
Yeah.
you mentioned
Thank
there.
And
you. I
just to jump in, I think it was an assumption that like even counseling and services, especially to our people, that price it's expensive, right? And what Andrew's saying, nonprofits, there's groups, there's everything. So we have to kind of get out of our minds that, oh, this is pricey, this is gonna be $150 for hour out of my pocket, and just understand that, it's different avenues to go to, right? So we can't make, oh, it's too expensive as excuse.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely agreed. So, for timekeeping's sake, because we're winding down, we have a few minutes left.
want to take the chance to
Please.
thank everyone, Ben, Lincoln, Andrew, John, our wonderful audience for showing up today. Please give yourself a round of applause. That was amazing work,
Yeah,
amazing talks,
please.
well said. I do want to take the time and mention that if there is anyone who has a business and would like the space to promote, please write it in the chat. We would love to shout you out. That space is for you and for everyone. We strongly appreciate it. And we also have our feedback survey. So we invite you to complete our survey now, and please with the link. Um, we have, we have one inside of the chat. One more minute, please. Oh. As we have info from Christoph at Freedom Freedom is a Must Foundation. Thank Thank you.
Yes, if you do the
Can you do me a
That
favor?
one.
Anybody, like obviously my hands are occupied. Anybody that has a business on my side who wants to connect with me, just please just write it down or send it to
Yes,
John or and I will follow you guys. Whatever tag you got, I
Mhm.
will follow it because like I said,
Absolutely.
like I'm a person when I say I want to support, I want to support. So if I
Yes.
can't like, work with you fully, I can work some way, somehow with you and connect. So
of course,
it doesn't matter
connections.
what business you do, send them to me. I'll work.
Yes. Lincoln, we love that. So we also have here Success Sport for Christian accountability and productivity coaching, and his email, laeagenda@gmail.com.
Yes, and as Nicole,
Thank you all.
yes, and
Go
as
ahead, John.
Nicole shared here, you could join us at Ifarada and Kajenga. Our supports are provided at no cost, and we're proud to work with our fellow nonprofits. Our list is endless by Durham Family Cultural Center, our Besties Women's Multicultural Counseling Resource Center. And we could send out a list of resources after this also. And also, I just wanted to end with one thing in terms of 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7.
Mm.
Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. So much love to all of you. I appreciate all of you. Walk good. And I pray that you and your families are always covered and that we connect again.
Amen.
Thank you all.
Amen.
We shall connect again. That's not even a if. We shall.
Absolutely.
This was amazing. Thank you guys so much,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you all for being here.
It's really
Thank you.
cool.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for everyone for showing up. Truly appreciate you.
No, we personally have to thank you two,
Hmm.
especially, because there's not a lot of spaces like this that are doing panels that are really trying to bring Black culture and Black unity amongst one another and really
Hmm.
there's a lot of panels that are giving us the problems, but this panel is giving us problems plus solutions. So we appreciate you. I think on behalf of Lincoln, Ben, and myself, we appreciate you creating this platform because it's not about just talking about problems, also talk about solutions, making movements, working together because the chain has to happen and you guys are making that chain happen. So we appreciate you for allowing us to be on your platform, doing what you guys are doing and keep up the good work. Seriously.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Well said.
Yeah, agreed.
Be well.
All right.